Hello, BookTube. Who's up for a mail haul? Although, come to think of it, where the heck is the mail? ah, thank you kindly. What? The rest of you don't have your mail personally delivered by Ben Sanders? I suppose your channels are good anyway. we have a lot of cardboard to go through here, so quit your stargazing. So let's see what this first one is. What is this first one? The last one is positively huge, so it's going to be something big. Oh, oh my. The first two books are not just books about Shakespeare. They're books about Shakespeare's Roman plays. First one's called Shakespeare's Rome. Second one's called Shakespeare's Roman Trilogy. All right, it's all downhill from here. Oh my. Those of you who might be new to the channel or might not have watched my 1700 videos and are wondering why this old man is squeeging, the reason is because Julius Caesar is my favorite Shakespeare play by a wide margin. And one of only 4 Shakespeare plays that I have entirely by memory. So reading about it is tremendous fun for me. But we'll do. I ordinarily save the box for last, but in this case, there's a package that's not a box, but it's much bigger than anything else. So we'll do the box now. Let's see what this is. Oh, very good. Okay, this is the finished copy of Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Very glad to see this, not least of which because the publicist really wants me to read it. And I had the advanced copy and didn't read it. So it has a blurb from Stephen Hawking and a blurb from Elon Musk. Does your book have a blurb from Stephen Hawking? I don't think so. So this comes out, this is soon though. Yeah, it's the end of August. And it's all about the singularity being near. If I recall correctly, that's what it's about. The rise of artificial intelligence has the potential to transform our future more than any other technology. Unless, of course, that technology is 70 years old and is called intercontinental nuclear ballistic missiles. They would transform our future far more radically than artificial intelligence because they would end it. And there's nobody better qualified to explore that future than Max Tegmark. Says who? Who's Max Tegmark when he's at home? All right, well, first of all, he's 10. So I'm not sure what that does to his qualifications. Maybe he's some sort of super genius. He's a professor of physics at MIT. Oh, okay, he is some kind of super genius. Pardon me. All right, okay, he's an MIT egghead, so he may be the world's best authority. But one way or another, it's an interesting thing when you're in my position. It doesn't. I won't say that it means a lot, but it doesn't mean nothing if a publicist is really active in noticing whether or not you are paying attention to their book. It doesn't verge into the territory of the discussion video I did the other day, because there's no publicists. These publicists are professionals. They know perfectly well there's no pressure they can bring to bear on me to make me review a book, or especially not to guarantee that it's a good review or anything like that. But it's nice to know the ones that know the limits of their job, but are still really eager to promote their books. Because I found that a lot of times that means that the publicist actually read and loves the book, that they're actually recommending it. I get a lot of good tips that way from people who are right there at the beginning of it. A lot of the editors are just as bloated and superfluous as usual, but the publicists are the ones who are in their 20s and they're filling their bag with galley copies to take home and read, and they're eating it up. They're living the atmosphere of the books they produce. So when a publicist is, when a publicist from like a university press sends me 100 books in a year, and I never hear from them at all about it, except if I send them a review, that says one thing. And if a publicist represents 20 books in a year, and I hear from her about every one of those books, did you read it? What did you think of it? Any interest in talking to the author? thought you might want to see a review of it somewhere else, like I don't already know. That at least means that the publicist really believes in the book. And I feel it feels wrong to come back to a publicist like that and say, yeah, I just haven't got around to it. So it does have an effect. It's a part of their job, and it's measurable. Of course, it has a negative side too, which is if you really, there are some publicists that I really like. I've been dealing with them for years, and if they really believe in a book that's a dud, then I have to give it to them on the chin, and they expect me to do that. But it's never pleasant. When a publicist, there's one right now, I won't name the book because the author is counting on it doing well at Christmas, but it's terrible. I will include it in just the wrong place you want a book included. In my year-end Steve Reads roundup of the best and worst books of the year. But I don't want to drum up, a negative reaction to it, especially since it's a well-known author. It's a well-respected author whose last book was fantastic. This publicist, she keeps contacting me about it. She doesn't seem to understand that this book is not fantastic, that it's not the same thing. She keeps mentioning the previous book. So I'm going to, sooner or later, probably today or tomorrow, I'm going to have to write her an email and break the bitter truth. So this book will not lack for reviewers, but I don't think I'll be one of them. One way or another. Let's get on to the next one here. It's one of these vacuum packed things. It's only 4 items, so we don't have much longer to go. Oh, fantastic. All right, great. This is the finished copy of iGen by Jean Twenge, who's a professor. This is a book all about how smartphones may be destroying a whole generation of young people. She finds that there are all sorts of survey response indexes. At my age, the very first thing I do when I hear that sound is check my own pulse. But then when I'm fine, my next reaction is, why are you screwing up my video? It's very uncharitable. But anyway, as I was bloviating, she's been getting tons and tons of airtime on talk shows because she excerpted part of this book as an article in The Atlantic about smartphones destroying a whole generation of people young people who no longer they no longer go out, they no longer socialize, they no longer have friends, they no longer have ambitions, they're not getting their driver's license. As she points out at one point in the article, they're not having sex as early as they used to be. And I thought that was so hilarious. And all of a sudden, that becomes something to worry about for 30 years. And people would get on these same talk shows and say, kids are having sex. Now the worry is they're not. There's something wrong with little Jimmy. But it's a fascinating subject. She knows perfectly well when you write a book like this where you're saying X is destroying a whole new generation. She knows perfectly well that the first thing most people are going to say is, people said that about the radio, they said that about the cinema, they said that about the television, they said that about video games, and none of it was true. None of it happened. And she says her padded response to that is, I'm not saying that. I'm looking at data, and the data shows a dramatic drop-off in a lot of key indicators right around the time when cell phones became ubiquitous. It's dramatic. If it were a gradual thing, she tells her interviewers, if it were a gradual thing, then I wouldn't say it because I wouldn't want to be one of those people. And my response is a little different. My response is to say that those predictions of those things destroying a whole generation were right. Take a look. Take a look at the people who were in those generations when those articles were saying that generation was going to be destroyed by whatever thing X was. Who are those people? They're the coke-headed 40-something Hollywood actors who can't stay out of rehab long enough to make a movie. They're the people who crashed Wall Street, and one of them's in the White House. So maybe those earlier predictions were right. But anyway, this is fascinating. I want somebody to pay me to write about it. I will bloviate about it anyway, but I'd like it if somebody would pay me to do that. But we're closing up on that. I think, it's August 22nd. Even the most needy editor in the world is not going to pay me for something that comes out in a week. So I'll just review it myself because it's worth talking about, and I want to be in that conversation. And then the last thing. Oh God.